you, everybody. Okay, I'm just going to keep admitting people as they come in as well, but I'm also going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so hello, everybody. We have about a 30-minute or so meeting to introduce and welcome a person who many of us believe in and who wants to now represent us in the United States Congress. I'm so excited for you all to hear directly from him on his vision, and thank you all for introducing yourself in the chat box. And I'm also going to keep admitting people during this, so multitasking a little bit. So we will also have some links sent out in the chat box throughout the evening. Again, thank you all for joining. So now I'll go ahead and introduce myself and talk about why I believe in Jain and how we got connected in the first place. So my name's Abigail. I use she, her pronouns. I am a current college student at Simmons University in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm originally from Carroll County, Maryland, and Shwani Jain and I got connected in 2021. I was a member of a grassroots youth-led climate initiative that did a Q&A and ultimately endorsed, Shwani Jain's campaign for governor of Maryland in 2021 was when we met. We endorsed the 2022 campaign. And I ended up volunteering on the campaign, and we ended up just staying in touch, and I got very into it. I learned a lot, and it was a really wonderful experience. So when Ashwani reached out and mentioned running for Congress, I knew immediately that I would be all in. I had such a great experience on the last campaign. I figured, why not do it again? So now I'm here and I'm serving as the senior communications advisor on the campaign. I'm very excited for this role and for everything to come. And I'm very happy that you all are here. So with that, I'm going to turn it over now to our treasurer, Thomas Jackson.
Thank you, Abigail, and also thanks to everyone for tuning in tonight for what for most of us is a very exciting campaign kickoff. As Abigail said, my name is Thomas Jackson, and you will soon be seeing my name basically everywhere because I'm treasurer and the law says Ashwani has to write it on everything. I first met Ashwani back in 2021, similar to what Abigail said, during the gubernatorial election. And from that first meeting, he was someone who immediately struck me as being a true public servant. And he's motivated not by a thirst for power or a need to prove himself, but rather by deep, genuine compassion and a commitment to equity that's been informed by his own experiences, overcoming pain, hardship, and being left behind. And though Ashwani is relatively young, a fact that I will never admit to his face, he already has a wealth of experience that few people, even twice his age, have managed to acquire. Beyond that, though, his amazing policy platform, detailed at jainforcongress.com, has been inspired by conversations with people like you and me, people who have talked about our pain, our hardships, and how we have been excluded or left behind. People who live on the receiving end of a system that doesn't work for everyone. A system that tells you what doctor you can see, and if you can even see one. A system that is perfectly fine polluting the planet as long as no corporation is inconvenienced. A system that lets CEOs profit off a pandemic while everyday people work extra hours and still worry about having enough money to make ends meet. A system that allows unlimited sums of money to flood our politics and drown out our voices if we can't afford the pay for play. And a system that encourages students to pursue their dreams, but then crushes them with a lifetime of debt for daring to try. Ashwani Jain is not a fan of the politics of propping up the system. And while I am a Democrat to my core, it frustrates me that so many in our own party get praised for doing the bare minimum and just keeping things going as usual. People are struggling, people are hurting, and in far too many cases, people are dying. The system is failing. And to paraphrase Elizabeth Warren, it's not enough to settle for mediocrity and nibble around the edges of incremental change. Progress never happens by thinking small. Ashwani Jain has the platform and the know-how to make actual progress happen. But this progress will take all of us working together. I love Ashwani and I am all in with this campaign, but the reality is he cannot do it alone. Money will come pouring in to drown out our messaging, and we have to be ready to put in the resources and the volunteer efforts to keep this campaign going, and to be louder and more organized than the milquetoast business as usual. So I'm asking you if you believe in this campaign, if you like what Ashwani has to say in his remarks, if you like what you read on our campaign website, which again is janeforcongress.com, please consider making a donation to the campaign, whether it's $5, $10 or more, whether you can make it monthly or just one time. Every dollar makes a difference. Let's work together and demand better. And with that, Abigail, please take it back.
Thank you so much, Thomas. So I'm so excited to now introduce Andrew LaBerge, who's the executive director of a pretty awesome group called Real Action Inc., and he is going to share some very exciting news.
Good evening, friends. My name is Andrew LaBerge. I'm a university student and the executive director of Real Action Inc. We recruit, aid, and elect young people to public office and empower them to create real change in their communities. Real Action Inc. was founded on the premise that insider politics does not work for everyday Americans and that we need young, transformational leaders in elected office. Ashwani Jain is fighting for young people day in and day out. Ashwani has the most detailed policy proposals in this race. We know where he stands on the issues and the tangible results he will deliver. We're done with the politicians that come around every 2 years with tired out and broken promises. We don't want our candidates beholden to super PACs and wealthy donors, and we will not settle for the insider elitist games of Washington anymore. This moment in time demands leaders willing to create real change, and Ashwani is a fighter who has the solutions to lift up every American. Let's elect leaders who rise to our standards. We deserve better than business as usual, bought and paid for politicians. Let's demand better. Let's support candidates who put constituents over consultants, everyday people over elites, and students over special interest groups. Today, we call upon all who share our commitment to a brighter, more inclusive future to support Ashwani Jain's candidacy for Congress. Together, we can elect a leader who will fight tirelessly for our values and prioritize the well-being of our communities. I am proud to endorse Ashwani Jain on behalf of Real Action Inc., and I'm proud to speak to you today, knowing there's a candidate in this race who will fight for real change in Washington in the 119th Congress and beyond. We invite all of you to join us at janeforcongress.com, get involved, and take real action. Thank you, Ashwani.
Thank you so much, Andrew. That is so exciting, and we are absolutely pumped for this huge endorsement. So we have another major announcement tonight, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Matt Hines of the Maryland Forward Party.
Thanks, Abigail. Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Hines, and I'm with the Maryland Forward Party. We are a new political group that is committed to finding common ground and solving the big challenges facing our state. We are proud and excited to endorse Ashwani Jain for Congress. As an organization, we are looking to support candidates who focus on policies that will benefit all residents instead of playing party politics. Candidates who will be held accountable and remain accessible and transparent. Candidates who prioritize election reform, like ranked choice voting, independent redistricting, and nonpartisan elections. And those who can work across the aisle with Democrats, independents, and Republicans. We believe Ashwani Jain represents that, and we're very excited to see what's to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. That is so exciting. And this is another example of kind of mass appeal that the Jain campaign has. And with that, I am so excited to share the official campaign commercial. This is also available on YouTube and on the website, and the link will be going into the chat box.
Hi, my name is Ashwani Jain, and I use he, him pronouns. I'm a 34-year-old son of immigrants and small business owners, a product of public schools, a published author, and a cancer survivor. I have experience in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors, including the Obama White House, the U.S. Department of Health, the U.S. Department of Housing, and the National Kidney Foundation. I am running for Congress, not just to be Maryland's first millennial and first Asian ever elected, but because I have specific policy solutions that will help open the doors of opportunity for our community. Now, there are a lot of great candidates in this race, but here are 3 reasons I hope to earn your support. First, unlike others, 100% of our events are free, and I don't take money from corporations or super PACs. So money will never drown out your voices because I'm owned only by voters, not purchased by donors. Second, unlike others, 100% of our campaign is run by volunteers, not consultants. That means you will always have a real seat at the table. And third, unlike others, we have the most detailed policy solutions, ranging from gun violence to abortion, from climate change to raising teacher pay at jainforcongress.com. That means you can hold me accountable because I made my commitments clear. Like finally making public college free and canceling student debt, which will tackle both the front and back end of the issue, being able to go to college and then paying for it. Like finally passing Medicare for all, which will save our economy more than $600 billion a year and eliminate premiums, deductibles, and co-pays for every American. And like pushing for a $26 minimum wage. This will help businesses by helping them find, hire, and retain workers. This will help our economy by reducing poverty and crime, increasing consumer spending, and expanding our tax base. And this will help workers by bringing their salaries to the national average. We must give people what they need to thrive, not just survive. Look, I come from a family of immigrants who worked hard to achieve their American dream. And they taught me if we're lucky enough to open that door of opportunity for ourselves, we must keep it open for everyone behind us. And we must demand better. I was lucky enough to be given another opportunity in life once I beat cancer. And I dedicated myself to empowering others to demand better. That's why I'm running for Congress. And that's why I'm asking for your support. So please follow us on social media, put up a yard sign, donate $10, and learn more at jainforcongress.com. Thank you. I'm Ashwani Jain, and I approve this message.
All right, well, I loved the commercial, and if you loved it and are passionate about the campaign, please feel free to share this with your friends and your family. So now I would like to introduce the person that we all decided to show up for tonight, Ashwani Jain. I will hand it over to you.
Thank you. I am just really excited. Thank you all for giving me your time tonight. And thank you so much to Abigail, to Thomas, to Andrew, to Matt, for your generous words and support. I do not take it for granted. And I'm really excited to look out and see so many faces that I recognize, so many friends, but also many of you that I don't yet know. I appreciate you taking the time to get to know me, and I really look forward to getting to know you as well. As you just saw mentioned in our campaign commercial, I am running for Congress in my home district, not just to be Maryland's first millennial and first Asian ever elected, but more so because I have specific policy solutions that will open the doors of opportunity for our communities. Because I understand what it feels like to be discounted and powerless. You know, back when I was battling cancer, I remember thinking I'd never get to leave the four walls of that hospital room. I was told when to wake up, when to sleep, what to eat, and what medicines to take. I lost all my hair and my confidence. And having no control over my life or my body made me feel depressed, helpless, and even suicidal. It hurt to have other people make decisions for me instead of with me. But once I beat cancer, I wanted to use my second chance at life to make sure no one else felt as powerless as I did. And luckily, I found my purpose in public service. While in college at the University of Maryland, I served as President Obama's Maryland Student Director, where I organized campuses across the state to pass the 2010 Maryland DREAM Act in Annapolis and the Education Reconciliation Act in Congress. The first ensured that undocumented students can qualify for in-state tuition. And the second put a cap on annual loan payments for college grads and increased the number of Pell Grants offered to low-income students. I was then able to serve in the Obama White House Office of Personnel, where I helped diversify the federal government by helping appoint over 700 women, African Americans, Asian Americans, Latinos, veterans, those in the LGBTQ community, and those who have disabilities to key leadership roles. Later at the U.S. Department of Housing, I built a team to expand broadband access for those in public housing, help extend the Maryland Housing Trust Fund that increased the supply of affordable housing in our state, and helped fund the Veteran Supportive Housing Program, which provided veterans with rental assistance, case management, and also clinical services. I then had the opportunity to work for you at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, where more than 400,000 Marylanders got access to the Affordable Care Act during my tenure. I also had the distinct pleasure of working with then Vice President Biden as his Director of Outreach for the Cancer Moonshot, where we helped get the NIH and the FDA, both housed here in Maryland, billions in additional funding. And I'm proud to say my efforts were later recognized by the Center for Medicare Advocacy when they presented me with their Social Justice Award. A few years later, after the Parkland shooting in 2018, I organized high school students across Maryland to get SB 707 passed in Maryland, which banned rapid trigger devices in our state and kept guns out of the hands of domestic abusers. I am currently proud to say that I'm a program director for the National Kidney Foundation, where I help lead community health programs that connect patients with care and treatment. And last year, I had the honor of being the youngest person to run for Maryland governor in over 200 years. And while we did not win, we were successful. Without ever hosting a fundraiser, we beat or outlasted great candidates who had millions of dollars in the bank and polled higher than us. We had over 750 volunteers with an operation in every county across the state of Maryland. And we created the first statewide campaign in America to be 100% volunteer run. Now, through all of these experiences, I've seen firsthand how impactful and uplifting politics can be. Unfortunately, I've also seen how corrupt the system still is and how money drowns out the voices of you, the voter. That's a big reason why, despite the fact that millions of Americans agree on passing universal background checks, protecting reproductive rights, ending the money bail system, having free public college or canceling student debt, or ending fossil fuel subsidies, why we are still not making enough progress. But whether you like it or not, whether you are involved or not, the decisions politicians make determine everything. The food you eat, the water you drink, the air you breathe, the roads you drive on, the schools you attend, the homes you live in, the jobs and wages you have, even the people you can love and marry. So since these elected officials are going to make decisions about your life, why not elect those who really have your best interest in mind and will give you a real, genuine seat at the table? And that's why I am running a 100% transparent, accountable, and accessible campaign. Unlike others in the race who hire consultants to make decisions or who limit volunteers to just canvassing or phone banking, our campaign is 100% crowdsourced. That means from day one of our operation, every strategy, policy, and decision is made in partnership with residents and voters from the district. Unlike others who use generic talking points or change their positions based on who they're talking to, I'm going to be consistent, giving you specific policy details and not changing my views just based on who I'm speaking with. Unlike others who will brag about how much money they've raised, I'm going to tell you how many voters I've spoken with. And instead of spending 90% of my time fundraising, I'm going to spend 90% of each and every day personally meeting voters at their homes. And 100% of our events are going to be free. Because while it's okay to ask voters for money, I believe mandating it corrupts the political process. True public servants should never force you to pay just to meet them. And furthermore, to fully close the door on any potential corruption, I will never accept donations from corporations or super PACs. My campaign will prove that. My actions will justify it, and my finance reports will back it up. Look, I don't come from a political or a very well-connected family. When my grandfather immigrated to this country from India, he had very limited resources, but needed to find a way to support his family of 7. He found work as a high school maintenance worker and later achieved his American dream. When my mother wanted to attend community college, she needed to find a way to pay for classes. She found work at a nursing home, making the minimum wage of $3.25 an hour at that time. But she was able to earn her way to graduation. When my father moved to this country and tried to find a job, he struggled because of the language barrier. He later started a business in an outdoor flea market to make ends meet. And after my parents got married and my mother got laid off, they struggled to keep the lights on in our 2-bedroom apartment. But they worked even harder to grow their business. And with perseverance, with grit, with resilience, and with some good luck, they are now successful small business owners. My family's ambition taught me the importance of giving back to a community that has given us so much. And that, yes, if we're lucky enough to open those doors of opportunities for ourselves, we must keep those doors open for everyone behind us. And we must demand better. That's why I'm running for Congress. And that's why I'm asking for your support. I really do appreciate you taking the time to be here. And with that, I think we have some questions.
Yeah, thank you, Ashwani. I know I speak for so many of us when I say how excited we are to have someone like you showing up for our community. So I have a few questions that I'm sure many other people here have. They are flowing into the chat as of right now. Again, feel free to post questions as they come in. So the first question is, how did you come up with all of your policies? So your policy page that we're putting in the chat box right now is far more descriptive and fleshed out than any of the other candidates that I personally have seen announced in the race thus far. So if you'd like to talk more about your policy.
Yeah, so every policy that you all will see on our website, jainforcongress.com, and that you're going to hear me discuss on the campaign trail, every policy was created in collaboration with district residents. That includes small business owners, healthcare professionals, it includes educators, government employees, social workers, farmers, food service workers, veterans, retirees, and students. And those policies include a $26 minimum wage, Medicare for all, free public college, canceling student debt, and tangibly getting money out of politics to remove the corruption that we so often see in Congress. And we also have detailed policy solutions on a range of other issues, including election reform, criminal justice reform, gun violence, reproductive rights, climate, healthcare, housing, LGBTQ rights, disability rights, veteran support, seniors, and also immigrant rights. These are all policies that I not only will believe will open the doors of opportunity for our district and our community, but were asked for and needed by residents in our district.
Great. So thank you so much. This is such a unique approach to campaigning. I haven't seen really any candidates do that, if any at all, especially on a federal level. So another question, kind of going off the policy conversation, is your proposal for a $26 minimum wage. Obviously, there's a lot of questions around why and how you came up with the number, how you feel businesses are going to benefit from it. So if you wouldn't mind kind of elaborating on that, and I know we are putting the link to the policy memo in the chat box right now.
Absolutely. And again, we try to move beyond rhetoric. We have specific detailed plans and solutions that are backed up by data that are on the website. And again, in the chat box links as well. But as it relates to a $26 minimum wage, coming from a small business background, I understand the value that they bring and also the challenges that they face. Likewise, I understand that there is a false notion that what's good for business must be bad for the employee and vice versa. The reality is each can benefit. And that's why, not overnight, but by 2030, I believe we need to increase the minimum wage to $26 an hour. Since 2009, the federal minimum wage has been stuck at $7.25, or about $15,000 a year. That is barely over the federal poverty level of around $14,000. Even at $15 an hour, which you've seen some states advocate for now, a person would only make about $31,000 a year. So my plan is going to make those making the minimum wage and bring their salaries to the national average salary, which is about $55,000 a year. Here's the benefit to businesses. One of the biggest challenges for businesses is finding and retaining good workers. In recent years, close to 50 million workers have quit their jobs saying they want and need better pay. And as a result, many businesses are struggling to stay open and provide the necessary service to their customers. But when employees are taken care of through higher wages, it has been proven that they are more productive, more invested, and more loyal to that business. And in addition to higher productivity from workers, businesses are going to benefit from lower staff turnover and fewer costs related to hiring and training new employees. And as it relates to the cost for our economy, because that's, one of the common concerns is that raising the minimum wage will make prices skyrocket. But that's actually not the case. Simply look at cities that have raised their wages in the past few years. Prices are relatively similar, or they are influenced by other factors like land costs, taxes, and other expenses. It's also important to note that we spend over $1 trillion on welfare programs. And by raising the minimum wage, we're going to reduce that welfare program costs by lowering poverty levels, increasing consumer spending, and expanding our tax base. And finally, just as a final note to that, according to the Center for Economic and Policy Research, if the minimum wage had grown consistently with productivity, we would already be at $26 an hour today.
Great. Well, that was really wonderful clarification. Thank you so, so much. So before I kind of get into our last few questions, I do want to go to some audience questions that have shown up in the chat a bit. Excuse me just one second as I scroll through. So it looks like John is wondering what the campaign plans to do to kind of assure that we keep gaining support from younger people in the district, especially with one of the established sellout candidates being a Generation Z delegate.
Yeah, so, I'll start by saying, one of the things I pride ourselves on this campaign is we're never going to speak ill of any other candidate, right? We are running for the residents of our district, not running against anyone in particular. And it is up to the voters to make those distinctions for themselves. And we're going to be really strong on focusing on these policies, campaigning in all 5 counties in the district, including the red counties, and actually making myself as a candidate accessible, transparent, going door to door, making sure that people are able to ask me questions and also be a part of the campaign if they have recommendations or ideas. So that's how you get support from not only young people, but older people, rural folks, folks in downtown urban centers, and everything across the board, regardless of what sector they may be working in. It's showing up, being specific and clear on the policy details, especially as a potential future legislator. I need to have legislation and specific policies to those, and not just discounting somebody because they're too young, they're too old, or they live in a red county that doesn't vote in high numbers in a Democratic primary, for example, right? And that's why I'm really proud to also have the endorsement of Real Action Inc., which is a group led by young people, by Gen Zers. They believe in this campaign and our ability to have mass appeal. And also what Matt said earlier about Forward Maryland, right? An organization that is focused on building a bridge between Democrats, independents, and Republicans, right? That's how we're already starting to have that mass appeal, and that's how we're going to do so moving forward as well.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for your really detailed and descriptive responses to all of these questions. I think we've about covered most of the audience questions, but again, you can head online, jainforcongress.com, if you have any other questions. Again, Ashwani is very, very accessible and responsive. So obviously any questions you have will be answered. So to wrap it up, and this is something that I'm excited to learn more about, how can we help? What are ways that we can volunteer? And I know links about volunteering and everything are going to be coming into the chat box very shortly if they have not already.
Absolutely. And I do know that we have a lot of other questions. You can feel free to reach out to me directly on the website, janeforcongress.com, under contact. And I respond to those emails as well, and I'll make sure to schedule time to make sure all the questions get answered. But in terms of volunteering, right, we need as much of your help as possible. And we have a lot of different opportunities to get involved. If you want to help us post on social media, we'll provide you monetary rewards for your effort and work. If you want to host a meet and greet over Zoom or in person where you get your friends and family together, again, we'll help compensate you for your work. If you want to help go door to door and canvass with me in the district, we would love your help doing that. If you want to help put up yard signs, either in your own home and also in the community itself, we need help doing that. If you have a policy idea or policy recommendation or want to help us think through or expand what we already have, please, we have those opportunities on the website. And if you want to also text bank, phone bank, right? Call voters if you're not able to canvass door to door, or text them. We have those opportunities and training involved. You don't need any experience. We make sure to make it very easy for you because this does take a village. And then also, like Thomas Jackson mentioned earlier, our amazing treasurer, who was the first person I asked to support our campaign. We need your help with donations as low as $10, especially because I am not taking money from corporations and super PACs. Every dollar that you donate is going to go a long way. It's going to make a difference, and it's going to help us expand our reach on social media, expand our reach on TV and radio, and make sure that the commercial you just saw and the message that I am sharing with you all today gets out to as many people as possible.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Ashwani. And thank you all so much for taking the time tonight to learn about this absolutely historic campaign. Again, please visit janeforcongress.com to learn even more and ask any questions, and especially with getting involved. That about wraps it up tonight. So have a great evening, everyone. And thanks again.
Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll be in touch soon.